Good morning! It's the weekend, which means it's time to tackle some homesteading jobs. But don't worry, this isn't about spending your whole weekend working. It's about tackling small steps towards self-sufficiency, even if you work full-time. Right, so here's what's on the list for today, guys. I need to check my beehive, make some sourdough bread, clean up my banana tree after a bit of a storm happened. We've got a little bit of gardening cleanup and repotting to do, planting some seeds for autumn, and then I've got an exciting project to tell you guys about, but a little bit more on that later. First up, checking on my bees. Keeping a hive isn't essential for self-sufficiency, but encouraging pollinators into your garden does make a huge difference. That's the hive check done. A few more drone cells than I would have liked, but I did see my queen and she is very busy at the moment. So this hive is recovering quite nicely. So that's that job for today. Next up, my overnight sourdough. This takes about 5 minutes to mix, and by tomorrow I'll have a beautiful loaf. It's all about planning ahead to make things easier. So this happened after a storm. It actually knocked over my banana tree and it has snapped. This was in the greenhouse looking absolutely beautiful, and the whole idea was to replant it, but unfortunately it's broken off. But not all is lost. We do have some suckers, or pups that some people call them. So what I'm going to do today is actually repot those suckers, and hopefully they survive to plant them back into the garden for another harvest. It is so hot today, you guys. Now, you will have seen that I managed to get 3 suckers. The smallest little one, I'll be honest, I don't think will survive, but figured I'll give it a chance anyway. The biggest one, I've got every hope that it will survive, because banana plants, believe it or not, are actually quite resilient. Next up is this dwarf mulberry tree. So it's already been through a major stressor when our property got flooded quite a bit, and I'll link that video below, where I had to rescue this. It was actually in the ground and we've put it in a pot. It's only a dwarf, so it can actually survive in a pot, but I'm thinking it's probably time to get it back in the ground. Now, I've done some research and it's probably best to do it late autumn, early spring, when the plant's like fully dormant. So I think I'm just going to leave it for now and top it up with some compost and some food, and then mulch it over and just see how it goes for the next month or so. I do have some plans for this, but let me know what you guys think. Should I put it back in the ground considering we've got clay soil, or should I just perhaps try and get a bigger pot for it? Right, so Sven's got this, what looks like a chili thimble, and it's never really done very well. Now, it looks great, and we've over summered it because it's just so hot here, but you can see that the soil has dropped quite a bit and it just looks like it's lacking a lot of nutrients. So with his permission today, I'm actually going to basically try and rescue this plant. Now, I mean, it looks beautiful, it's leafy green, but those chilies have never really grown to the full size that they're meant to be. So I'm just going to add in some new soil, and then I've got some tomato and vegetable fertilizer that I'm going to add in. It is a liquid form because I don't have any of the slow release on me at the moment, and I've really got to up my compost game, guys, but one day at a time. So this is what I've just put into my watering can that I'm going to water these chilies with, and hopefully that will do the trick just to give them a little bit of a boost, because for us at the moment it is actually capsicum and chili season, so I'm very behind with my seedlings, but at least we can hopefully get this one going. Now I am going to leave it in the greenhouse for a little bit. I call it a greenhouse, it's actually really a shade house because it is still extremely hot where we are at the moment. It's only the 15th of March today, so we've only kind of just started autumn, and I think this little guy's probably going to need at least another month before I can take him back outside. Now, if you've been watching for a little while, you'll know that I'm currently trying to oversummer some strawberry plants, and I've got to say that after I rescued them, we're actually looking pretty good, guys. They have grown so much and they look quite healthy. This one looks to be eaten a little bit, but there's, I think I counted 11 plants left. So that overall is really, really good. So one of the other big things that I need to do today is get the veggie patch behind me ready for autumn. Now we actually decided to take a little break this summer and not do any planting. So I've got quite the workout ahead of me. So you can see that the grass and weeds have overtaken this entire area, and that's what I'm going to try and sort out today. Then you can see that I've started digging some of it out because I've actually got quite an exciting little plan for this area to spruce it up a little bit. So I'm just going to get this all mowed up, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the oregano and the passion fruit behind it. Okay, that is about the best I'm going to get it at this stage. I cannot drop that mower any lower, and you can see it's still quite wet, so I'll have to try and weed eat at another stage. But I just wanted to give you a sneak peek. Now, if you've been following for a while, you may already have an idea of what's happening, but I dug this out quite a long time ago, well over a year ago already. The project had to go on hold, so a lot of the weeds and grass have grown back, but it's all coming up as well as around the beds eventually. So if you think you know what might be happening, drop a comment below and let me know what your guess is as to what we might be doing in this veggie patch. This is our passion fruit vine. Now it's the best it's ever looked. Tons of flowers, and the bees are absolutely loving it. My biggest problem is, apart from overgrown and we can't get into the tunnel, it's just not producing any fruit. I think we have successfully received one fruit from this vine, and it was actually not even that long ago, and it had been stung by something, so it was not even edible. They're definitely getting pollinated because I often see our bees on the flowers, so pollination's not an issue. I do regularly feed and water it, so I'm just starting to think it's a bit overcrowded and it's not getting enough airflow and not everything's getting pollinated. So what I'm going to do today is trim away where the arches, there's actually some pretty fairy lights on here and you just don't even see them anymore. So I'm going to give it a bit of a light trim. I'm going to try and clear the base of all this yucky business and give it some food again and just see if that will help. I have seen online that unfortunately some varieties just don't actually produce any fruit. Fortunately we do have a second one, but it is young, so it's not anywhere near close to fruiting for us at this stage, but that's okay. Well, there we have it, folks. It looks so much better. I think once this little project is complete, this whole area will be transformed. Now, if this does not produce any fruit, I'm sad to say that it might actually have to come out because we only seem to plant things that are purposeful and that will feed us. I mean, we've got some flower beds and things, don't get me wrong, but if this guy doesn't stop producing, I may have to put something else. So if that was not very audible, Sven's actually also doing some mowing today. So yeah. As I'm sure you can see behind me, the weather's starting to change quite a bit. I actually felt a few light sprinkles, so I just want to finish this last task before the weather actually hits. And that is my oregano bed. Now, it's just been a bit neglected in the summer months because the whole garden got a bit neglected and I wasn't really growing much. So you will see that it's starting to take over this bed, which is not ideal. Plus, it's going to flower, which it's okay. I mean, it's helping with the bees, but ideally when you want to harvest oregano, you want to do it before it flowers. Now I do have a dehydrator, so I'm actually going to harvest as much as I can today and dehydrate some of it so that we've got some fresh dried oregano in the pantry that is our very own homegrown. So that's quite exciting. It's the first time I'll be drying herbs, so this is a winner for me. So I have managed to fill this entire basket. Now I know that once you dehydrate it, this will probably not actually end up being that much, but I don't have a very big industrial type dehydrator. So what I will do is at least test this out today, and if I'm happy with the process, I'll come and get some more tomorrow, because this bed does need quite a bit of thinning out before we really amp up into autumn. The next thing on my to-do list today is to plant some seeds for autumn. Now, the seeds that I have ordered have unfortunately not arrived due to some sort of postal delay at the moment, but that's okay. I've got a few things that I can get started with, as I am already a little late in the game. Now, I have gone and 3D printed myself some pots. Now I've got stacks in the greenhouse, but I couldn't resist this one, and I just want to show you what they look like. So they're little ones, but with drainage holes. But you remove the inside and that's where your seeds will grow. So it really just will make transplanting these so much easier. And then I just decided to have a little bit of fun and make myself a whole bunch of little plant tags. Unfortunately, I snapped one of them, but anyway, it's okay. Some of the things that I'll be growing today are your brassicas, so your broccoli, your cauliflower, your cabbage, and I'm going to add kohlrabi into the mix this year. I'm also going to try and grow some wambok this year. I was semi-successful last year, but the worms unfortunately got in before we could get in, which was really so disappointing. I'm doing the usual snow peas. We just love snacking on those. I've still got stacks of onion in the freezer left from the last harvest. So I'm only going to plant a little bit, and I'm thinking a little bit of red onion, a little bit of brown onion, and then some pickling onions. Now, I haven't been successful with pickling yet, so if you've got any tips and tricks about growing pickling onions, please guys in the comments below, because I just haven't had any luck. I do want to add a bit more to my herb garden. So I've got some basil at the moment, but it's gone to flower because it's just been a little bit neglected. So I'm going to grow some more basil. I really struggle with coriander. It's also extremely hot and humid where we are, so I'll grow that in our shade house. And then the mint's just starting to do really well, so I'm going to go and do some peppermint as well, because I'd like to make some tea. And that's a wrap. See, homesteading doesn't have to take over your whole weekend, just a few small tasks at a time. If you enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. It really helps the channel. And let me know in the comments what you're working on this weekend.